Hello, this is AnlineOffline. Welcome back to another casual quick guide to Call of Duty Mobile. For today's video, we'll be covering the CX-9. Introduced in Season 9 of 2023, the CX-9 is a fast-firing SMG from Modern Warfare 2019. It's based on the Scorpion EVO 3, which first appeared in the franchise in Black Ops 2, and has returned in Modern Warfare 3 2023 as the Rival 9. But before we can cover the EVO 3, we should go over the first Scorpion with a K. The Vz.61 was a machine pistol developed in the late 50s by Czech SMG of Czechoslovakia. Originally chambered in 32 ACP, other variants were available in 380 ACP, 9x18 Makarov, and 9x19 Parabellum. More compact than an SMG, but with more capacity than a pistol, it was intended as a personal defense weapon for vehicle personnel and security, but found itself in the hands of terrorists. At the end of the Cold War, Czechoslovakia peacefully split into two separate nations that both applied for NATO, and both had to modernize their militaries for Stanak. CZ attempted to modernize the Vz.68, but proved to be too complex and expensive. They needed something completely new, and took notice of a Laugo prototype by Slovakia's Jan Luchansky. Brought on board the CZ, this would become the EVO 3. The A1 was for military and law enforcement, while the S1 was for civilians. The success of the latter would warrant an S2 micro variant. But back to mobile. Base damage per shot is low, killing in 5 shots up close before dropping to 6 and plunging to 9 and 10 at mid-range. As its description would suggest, the CX has a fire rate of 1,034 rounds per minute, which is the 5th fastest in the game behind the Akimbo Fennec / the burst of the Echo Fire Maddox, Akimbo Makarovs, MAC-10, and single Fennec. In terms of base time to kill, it's faster than average up close, but the drastic drop-off leaves it with a base effective range of 19 meters. And unfortunately, it also has a bullet speed of 450 meters per second, equal to the AS-VAL. You could achieve a very fast 4-shot kill in its first range, but beyond that, its body multipliers aren't going to be helpful in reducing your time to kill. Luckily, leg shots aren't detrimental unless you land a majority of those. With all of the following, the CX could be one of the fastest killing weapons up close, and one of the slowest from afar. Unlike some of its recent peers, the CX only has one attachment that can affect its bullet speed, and that's the 38E. It improves accuracy, recoil, and range, but restricts mobility like its fellow Type 38 barrels. Like the Striker 45, the CX also has a 12-round hollow point conversion, but has a 3-round burst instead of 2, and has fewer drawbacks. The fire rate is unaffected, but now you have a burst delay of 138 milliseconds. It also secretly buffs your ADS time by 1 frame. If the hollow point Striker is the fastest killing weapon, then the hollow point CX is in second place with a more viable range. It also improves movement, but you only have 4 bursts per mag to work with. In terms of mobility, the CX is tied for the fastest base movement in the SMG class, but if you max it out with hollow points, you can achieve the fastest sprint speed in the game, faster than melee weapons and the OTS. You can also achieve the second fastest strafing speed behind the LCAR. Even without hollow points, it is still up there, although a lot of the other attachments will hold you back. Base magazine size is 20 rounds and can be extended to 30 and 50, or restricted to 12. For some reason, Sleight of Hand offers a 35% boost to reloading, instead of the usual 15. It may say it only buffs partial reloads on the stat page, but that's bugged and helps both. Is it worth it? Standard reloading and cancelling is solid as is, and none of the attachments slow it down. As for accuracy, the bloom is poor alongside the QXR. The fire spread is tied with the Striker 45 for the worst in the SMG class, but at least it has a good sprint out time and fast fire rate. The iron sights are fine for its intended range, although I find the rear sights to be partially obstructive when jump shotting. Luckily, recoil is very easy to control, but it's susceptible to high flinch. So, what are my thoughts on the CX-9? I think it's an alright weapon for close quarters, but when you get into mid and long ranges, it has almost everything going against it. It has one of the steepest drop-offs, poor bloom, high flinch, and if it were a hit scan, it would have been fine. So how does it compare to its fellow bullet hoses? The Fennec is similar in range, impact, and bloom. On paper, the CX should have an edge with its larger mag, superior mobility attachments, and normal sprint out time. But I would still favor the Fennec because it's hit scan, and the faster fire rate means it'll almost always kill faster. Like the Fennec, the MAC-10 also has the sprint out of a marksman rifle, and it's even more ill-suited for range. In spite of it, I'd still go with the MAC because of its base damage and strafing speed. Yes, the CX should be faster, but in practice you'll be using the largest mags for both, and the MAC has fewer drawbacks. Something a bit more 50-50 would be the QXR with enhanced bolt. One has better showings for range, whereas the other has the faster fire rate and mobility for close range. So what about hollow points? I don't hate it like with the Striker 45, and surprisingly I live long enough to run out of ammo. So if you want to min-max your sprinting speed, it's not a bad idea. Although this hyper high-risk high-reward playstyle probably isn't going to work in fast-paced objective respawn modes. It's like a more extreme version of the KSP-45. If you find success with the CX, you'll probably be able to do more with the KSP, because it's more well-rounded. With that being said, it could use a few changes. A common complaint that I noticed was how little damage it did at mid-range. So I suggest removing its final range and allowing its third range to kill in 7 shots. Hollow points should also be buffed to 2 bursts across the map. Is that overpowered? No, because most other burst weapons can already do that without using up half a magazine. While we're at it, might as well give it the same bullet speed as the OTS-9. Projectile velocity makes sense on weapons with high damage over range. For a low damage weapon like the CX, not so much. Usually, I don't say much about sound design, and the suppressed version it sounds fine, but the unsuppressed version sounds a little slower than it should be. And lastly, this is more of a tangent than anything, but I once picked up someone's talking mythic blueprint. Why does it have 50+ voice lines? But hey, that's just my opinion. This has been a Casual's quick guide. Feel free to suggest what weapons you want to see covered next. My name is On, and I'm off.